what I'm going to do today is to talk about a social work management perspective, both from my previous experience as a local authority team manager and more recently as a manager in the voluntary sector with multicultural family base. So I haven't pressed the right thing. We're here today to focus on promoting human rights, social justice. Thank you. And issues of power in qualifying social work education. And I want to look at why social work managers should be concerned about these issues, and concerned that it happens effectively in qualifying social work education, but also at the roles that they can play in ensuring that it does. First of all, I think managers have to be concerned with the quality of practitioners. Practitioners, both those entering the workforce and those already in it, they're the biggest resource that we have. And without high quality practitioners, we won't be able to provide high quality services. And as you will all know, in social work, in whatever context we work, it's a demanding job, working with people disadvantaged by poverty and other forms of oppression. And as other speakers have described, social workers work in very complex situations with high levels of needs and risks, and often with conflicting needs and risks for different members of families and communities. We have to manage conflicting demands and pressures. As Mark said, the Children's Scotland Act emphasises the paramountcy of the needs of the child. Much current immigration legislation doesn't seem to pay very much heed to the needs of the child. And there are many other examples of those kinds of conflicts. Social workers are expected to make sensitive and holistic assessments of need and provide appropriate packages of care whilst under pressure to remain within very inadequate resources. And there are huge public expectations of what social workers should be able to do to keep people and communities safe, but actually very little public or political interest in or sympathy for some of the service users with whom we work. And all this is done in a climate of often hostile public scrutiny. So those dilemmas which social workers and their managers face in day-to-day work are all ethically very highly charged. And I would argue that we require a very considerable degree of fluency in confronting and trying to resolve ethical dilemmas if we're going to continue to perform effectively as social workers. So, I think all this adds up to a very clear message that good social work managers and leaders must be vitally concerned with the ethical training that is provided during qualifying social work education. And along with that, in providing working environments that will enable ethical practice to be developed throughout social work careers. And in the DIPSWA, one way of ensuring that ethical awareness and fluency lay in meeting the values requirements. So what tools do we have now to help us make sure that future social workers are equipped to deal with those ethical dilemmas that they'll face? So first of all, underpinning all social work practice now are the codes of practice, which lay binding obligations on all social services workers and their managers. And, as I'm talking here today about social work management perspective, I've just looked at the codes of practice for employers, and I won't read through them. You have them, the slide in your sheet. But I'll just pick out the second one in relation to the instance that Mark quoted. For a worker who is told that they cannot provide ethically appropriate meals through service user, they are being required to do something that puts their compliance with the codes of practice at risk. And being able to say to their manager, now that might be a very hard thing to do and there will be issues of power there, but there is a potential, very powerful tool to say that is a breach of the codes of practice. So I think the codes of practice, there may be some dissonance with some people's experience of their workplaces. that these are tools that have potential to promote human rights, social justice and power issues. And I think we all have to make sure that they're real tools and we use them, that they're not just things that we read and sit on a shelf, but that they're part of everyday practice.